Very, very, very sweet, but heavy.
Hello honeys! I've collected all 81 exclusive Angely Sugar Coords featured in the mobile game IdolKiwi Photo on Stage, and I put them all together for you. Since there's so many Coords, this video will be a little different so we can get through them all without getting overwhelmed. Enjoy! #81 Trump Rabbit. The first 8 Coords I have are what I call chaos tier. For example, this is Trump Rabbit, and I don't know how they got to this design. The top is pretty standard with some armor inspiration on the sleeves, and the skirt is also meant to look like armor panels, but this color palette just isn't working. Making the skirt panels blue like the top would have been a very easy fix. 80 Fluffy Girly. Next is Fluffy Girly, which is a monster. It's probably one of the most voluminous dresses in all of IdolKiwi. The fluffy cape and skirt pannier already have a lot of volume, but I don't know why they added so many more giant ruffles to this dress. 79 Twin Angel Heart. For Twin Angel Heart, I don't know why they went with such a desaturated color palette. I just finished my Vivid Kiss deep dive, and this honestly looks more in line with Vivid Kiss than Angely Sugar. Where are the bright colors? What's with all these mismatched patterns and motifs? It is cute, I just don't know why they didn't at least boost the saturation here. 78 Sweet Room Princess. This is Sweet Room Princess, and the lace overlay layer is not making sense to me. I think it is a cute shape on its own, but it feels like a waste to have the dress just continue in an A-line shape out from that interesting scalloped hemline. They don't use the pink ribbons from the bodice to define the skirt any further, so it's just a big pink blob from the empire waist down, and that's a long way down. 77 Sunstar. I went back and forth on Sunstar a lot, but ultimately there is no explaining this color palette. You could argue that the perspective is weird for the way the overall structure of the dress is obscured, but the bright pink and yellow are not working with the dull orange they've chosen. And they're definitely not working with the desaturated rainbow gradients added on top. I'm afraid of Sunstar, and I don't know what it wants from me. 76 New Year Angely. I feel a little bad ranking New Year Angely all the way down here, but I'm not happy with the contrast between the graphic floral prints and the more detailed floral prints. Maybe I'm just not used to seeing traditional and modern elements mixed this way, but the flatness of the more modern pieces look out of place against the more intricate traditional ones to me. 75 Fancy Angel. Fancy Angel has to be someone's favorite Coord, but I'm sorry to say that all I can see is the skirt. It looks like the side of the skirt has been unzipped, unleashing a flood of random fabric scraps. The wings are beautiful, and the top is fine, but the skirt haunts me. It deserves to be in the chaos tier. 74 Shooting Star. I feel like Shooting Star also has to be someone's favorite. There's so much going on here. I do really love these colors and was going to rank it higher, but you can't see what's going on under all that fabric. The transparent outer layers seem like they'd be great at reducing the visual noise, but I think they only add more confusion to the silhouette and the structure of the dress. 73 White Angel Santa. The next 22 are the problematic tier. White Angel Santa uses my beloved Christmas theme, but it also uses one of the worst palettes I've seen in a Christmas design. Adding pink to the red, white, and gold color scheme is already bad enough, but green mistletoe leaves and a bright blue skirt interior are a step too far for me. 72 Sweet Twins. Sweet Twins is inspired by the Angely Sugar and Swing Rock collaboration Coords, but I don't think it looks that great. The plaid pattern is kind of weird, right? The orange stripes stand out so much more than the rest of the pattern, and it makes the skirt feel almost lopsided. 71 Strawberry House. I do have to apologize to Strawberry House because even though it has a really nice silhouette, I am not a fan of food themes. The cookie and pretzel print being the focal point of the skirt is distracting to me because the colors are so out of line with the otherwise perfectly strawberry coated palette. 70 Lovely Ribbon Yukata. Lovely Ribbon Yukata is a little intimidating to me with its giant ruffle tiered skirt, but that's my only issue with it. I think the long sleeves are pretty, and I like how the obi has been integrated with the wrap neckline and the cap sleeves. 69 Pink Frill Party. Pink Frill Party's only crime is that solid pink sash at the waist. This is an asymmetrical design, but they could have at least brought that heart pattern from the sleeves and skirt into the sash to make it a little less dominant of an element. The overall design is so detailed and delicate, why distract from that? 68 Lacy Poinsettia. Lacy Poinsettia does not need that big red flower at the neckline. It's so disconnected from the rest of the dress, the eye just hops from red flower to red flower, and a lot of the detail in this design has been overwhelmed by them. At least add more reddish trim to the tiered skirt layers to make them stand out too. 67 Lovely Blue. I don't know why Lovely Blue is mostly pink, but in all fairness it is a pretty cool tone pink. I do like the silhouette of this dress, but the pink sections are so desaturated it loses a lot of energy for me. There are also some awkward stitching marks in the bodice that are distracting for me. 66. Pastel Teacher. Pastel Teacher looks pretty cute. I think my main issue with it is the skirt design. I don't like how narrow they've made those ruffled sections. It almost looks like this is supposed to be a pleated skirt with ruffles sticking out between the pleats, but they just didn't add enough of them. 65. Purple Sun Ribbon. Poor purple sun ribbon. I didn't want to put it down here, but that dull orange doesn't look good with the purple. This is a unit dress, so the yellow and orange colors had to stay the same. The purple had been chosen to suit the yellow since it's on the bodice and they're complementary colors, but there was nothing the designers could do about the orange. 64. Ice Bridle. I don't expect many people to agree with me here, but Ice Bridle's gathered fabric at the bottom of the skirt looked awkward to me. Despite being a very pale blue, it's still a darker element than the rest of the dress and pulls the eye down without redirecting it anywhere, especially with those gold heart pins adding extra contrast. 63. Sugary Chocolate. Sugary Chocolate has really nice colors and a cute chocolate wrapper concept. As cute as it is, there are just too many similarly sized tiers of fabric for me. It makes the dress look unstructured. I would have made the brown top and brown skirt layer the main focus of the design and shrunk the pink layer in between them to get stronger visual hierarchy. 62. Pastel Alice. Pastel Alice also has really nice colors and a cute theme, but here I really don't like the neckline of the dress. I find the semicircle of ruffles design to be very distracting, and lines of bows like we see in the blouse underneath are another design pet peeve of mine. 61. Flower Party. Flower Party is pretty, but a little strange in its ribbon placements. Why are they zigzagging randomly over the skirt? The top has nice draping, but on the skirt the ribbons just look like they're meant to fill up space. 60. Hummingbird Garden. I'm sad about Hummingbird Garden. I love its concept and most of the elements it uses, but the way the skirt panniers are gathered like curtains looks really awkward to me. I wish they could have at least been pockets without the gathered section dangling at the bottom. 59. Ribbon Star Girl. I only have a small nitpick for Ribbon Star Girl. Do you see where the bottom skirt layers overlap? And do you see how it looks like they've been stapled together? It's really unfortunate that happened. I wish they'd had a sewing machine. 58. Mascara Margaret. Mascara Margaret is another tragic case where this is a lovely and complex dress with a good balance of colors and a lot of visual rhythm that still maintains a coherent visual hierarchy. So what happened with that diagonal stripe of ribbon on the skirt? It completely disrupts the flow of the design, and my only hope is that it would have been better if we could at least see that there was another one on the other side to balance it out. 57. Sun's Tulle. Sun's Tulle is very pretty, and I like the shimmery fabrics and interesting corset structure of the bodice. However, we can't ignore how the darkest pink has only been placed on the top of the bodice and nowhere else that we can see. At the very least, I would have liked to see more of those pink jewels decorating the skirt pannier to distribute that color better. 56. Sweet Quintet. Overall, Sweet Quintet is a cute design. I just think the mint plaid fabric wrapped around the waist is a bit too oversized. It looks like a thicker fabric and has a lot of fringe trim, which would be an interesting textural element if the dangling pieces on the bow on the side were shortened so they didn't overwhelm the skirt. 55. Dream Sailor. As a fan of nautical theming, my issues with Dream Sailor come down to the asymmetrical skirt. The pleated skirt section is the dominant centered piece, so having only a third of the skirt be divided as a ruffled piece in a different color feels unbalanced. It might be less noticeable if there wasn't also a contrast between the warm cream color used as a base and the cool blue accent. 54. Cute Clear Venus. Cute Clear Venus looks odd to me, mostly because of the slightly repetitive visual rhythm of the draping on the skirt and the way the purple ruffles explode out from the skirt off-center. I'm not sure exactly what to make of this one. Sometimes I think I like it, other times it just looks ugly to me. 53. Sweet Lamp Mage. In my Angely Sugar ranking video, I said that lovely mage would have looked better with pants instead of shorts, and I stand by that. Sweet Lamp Mage is an improvement in the silhouette, but honestly, what do you think of all these patterns? I think it's a bit too much. I do like the gradients and the placement of the ruffles, but the solid pink sash at the waist contrasts too much with how busy everything else is in comparison. 52. Holy Pure Santa. I'm sad to put another Christmas design so low in the ranking, but Holy Pure Santa just looks a little awkward with red ribbon stitched into the hemline of the skirt. The red corset is almost minimal enough to not be distracting, but with the ribbon stitching it becomes more obvious. Otherwise, I do like this design. 51. Strawberry Sweets. The next 7 are the acceptable tier. Strawberry Sweets is a great example because although I don't usually enjoy food themes, I can appreciate that there is nothing technically wrong with this design. The large skirt and its oversized fruit appliques are balanced well by the structured bodice and simple puff sleeves. The headband even helps carry the visual rhythm of the whipped cream up through the design. 50. Puffy Sand. Puffy Sand also works really well. The long skirt is given extra structure with a minimal corset design, and although I don't like the food theme, the sandwich details in the blouse do suit this concept very well. 49. Dot Yukata. Dot Yukata is a perfectly fine yukata design with pleasing enough colors and a few extra accent textures. I just think it might be a little too simple compared to other designs we'll see in this list. 48. Pastel Donut. Once again, I think my taste is clear here in not really liking the donut theme, but that doesn't mean it's a bad design. The silhouette is perfect for Angely Sugar, and the heart applique on the bust is especially cute. 47. Dot Valentine. Dot Valentine also has a perfectly fine silhouette. I'm just not impressed by the detached colors. Mint is the brightest color they've used here, so if you're a fan of the mint chocolate color scheme, you might like this design a lot more. 46. Sky White Cosmos. I'm torn on Sky White Cosmos. I really like most of this design, but the silhouette is a bit awkward to me. The rounded skirt is interesting, but I probably would have ranked it a lot higher if it had been a flared skirt instead. 45. Pink Angely Bride. I am not a huge wedding dress fan, so maybe I'm not seeing the appeal here. There's a contrast between the medallion lace lining the top of the bodice and the 3D bows sewn into the skirt that looks off to me. Technically, it's not a bad dress, I just think the textures aren't as consistently integrated as I'd want them to be. 44. Sugar Pastel. The next 14 are my like tier. Sugar Pastel is hard to judge because it's meant to be pajamas, but even so I can appreciate the cute color scheme and the softness of these pieces. The pumpkin shorts work here because they reinforce the youthfulness of the design. 43. Dream Color. Dream Color isn't a very flashy coord, but I find it appealing because all the elements work well together. The peplum top flares out nicely over the skirt, while the cardigan adds some extra color variation and creates a softer appearance. 42. Classical Striped. Classical Striped is a lovely nautical design with a casual feel. I'd like to point out that the hemline of the top and skirt are both scalloped, as well as the cutout part of the blouse. The mixed patterns work here because the colors are all very close in value, which makes them a very subtle texture variation. 41. Purple Tulle. Purple tulle looks extremely pretty. The shimmery fabric of the skirt is wonderful and is grounded very nicely by the structured bodice and choker. An asymmetrical arm cuff is also very welcome to add an extra degree of complexity. 40. Lovely Phantom. Lovely Phantom has a great sense of movement thanks to the ribbon that's been draped across the skirt. The top is a little bit longer than we usually see for Angely Sugar, but they use that length to connect the top to the sweeping lines of the ribbon. The eye is then naturally led down to the bottom of the skirt, which has a lot more visual rhythm with its pleats and scalloped edges. The color palette is also beautiful. 39. Angel Tulle. Here's another wedding dress, and I think this one works better for me because the bow appliques at the bottom of the skirt are a lot more understated. They almost look like a subtle pattern rather than 3D elements, and the lines created by the rest of the dress work well enough to lead the eye up toward the ruffled bodice and the veil. 38. Light Flower Sea. I've moved Light Flower Sea up in my rankings a few times now, and I really like the subtle prints and the wing pin to the bodice. Usually I'd comment on the pink petticoat, but I actually don't find it distracting here. Sure, it could match the pink of the heart accents better, but the color they picked doesn't clash with the rest of the palette, so I think it's okay. 37. Blue Tulle. Blue is my favorite color, and I adore how this shade of blue looks with the yellow that's shared across all 3 unit dresses. The shimmery gradient on the skirt has very subtle color variation that adds more visual interest, and overall I find the silhouette of this dress and the playful design of the bodice very appealing. 36. Dream Pastel Girly. Honestly, Dream Pastel Girly is probably the closest to how I would actually dress in the IdolKiwi universe. I'm a sucker for the Letterman jacket style, and I love pairing them with more feminine elements like we see here. The soft pastels and the cool color scheme are perfect for me. 35. Mini Ribbon Summer. Mini Ribbon Summer is a swimsuit, but it's still full of Angely Sugar signature ruffles, ribbons, and lace. Yellow accents are a great addition to add a little bit of variation that highlights the asymmetrical aspects of the skirt. There's even a super subtle heart print in the light pink fabric. 34. New Year Blossom. New Year Blossom is so pretty. I think the floral prints are perfect with great traditional details at the obi that pair nicely with the more understated heart charms and bows added to this design. The earrings pull out blue accents from the floral print and match the hair accessory too. 33. Pinkish Marine Summer. Pinkish Marine Summer is nautical themed, so that means I automatically like it. The sailor collar and skirt references are adorable, and I love the pink and white color palette. Pearl strand accents are also a great fit for this theme, and make sure to note the contrast between the flared pleated skirt and the sleeker style used for the top. 32. Pink Dream. Monochromatic outfits like Pink Dream are boring to a lot of people, but to me, they give us a lot of room to appreciate detail by limiting distractions like hue contrast. There are so many interesting shapes being made by all these pieces. Scalloped edges, ruched fabric, pleats, ruffles, it's all here. And it's all balanced incredibly well too. 31. Sweetie Berry Ribbon. Sweetie Berry Ribbon is adorable. The red is a bit dark for this palette, but they've used it sparingly enough that it doesn't dominate the design. I really like the mini beret they've used as a hair accessory, and the skirt is exploding with sweetness between the gingham print and the tiers of ruffles at the bottom. The blouse also has a visually interesting cut with the sleek approach to the waist fitting the dramatic skirt very well. 30. Frill Sugar Bridal. The next 24 are my love tier. Frill Sugar Bridal is really impressive to me, especially for a wedding dress design. I love the way the purple undersides of the skirt ruffles look like they cast purple light down the white fabric. It's a great way to liven up a solid white dress. 29. Sugar Pink Santa. Sugar Pink Santa was made for me. I love the Christmas theme, I love the party hat and the sheer sleeves. All of the pom-poms are adorable, and look, even the mistletoe on the hat is pink and purple to match the palette. Perfection. 28. Aqua Pearl Ribbon. Aqua Pearl Ribbon is so creative, and I love seeing the prince theme in Aikatsu. The shorts are adorable and have this nice subtle sparkle to them. The jacket flows out behind in a high-low cut, so you still get a lot of movement in the design, and I especially appreciate the gradients added to the sleeve ruffles to make them look more like shells. 27. Playful Mirror. You tell me if I'm crazy for loving Playful Mirror, because I think the rounded skirt is really working for me here. The skirt layers are asymmetrical in a way that highlights the large mirror charm, and the sleeves carry the skirt's roundness up into the blouse. Maybe there's a little too much going on with the addition of a mirror pendant necklace, but overall I think it's a great design. 26. Blue Angely Bride. Blue Angely Bride has the same 3D bows on the skirt that I didn't like in Pink Angely Bride, so why is this version so much higher up? Mostly it's the pearl strands balancing them out. The different bodice helps too, since there's nothing super detailed in any of the textures used here that would contrast the bows too sharply. More 3D elements and fewer intricate details makes the whole design come together a lot more smoothly. 25. Blue Sun Ribbon. Blue Sun Ribbon is the final version of this unit dress we're seeing, and I can understand if you're confused. I think the dull orange they've chosen actually works with the shades of blue in this design. The yellow fits too, but that orange has been difficult to match, and with blue as its complementary color, it's looking a lot more at home here. I also love the way the short ruffle layers are gathered at the waist, and the silhouette looks really pretty to me. 24. Flower Ribbon. Flower Ribbon surprised me a little because with how busy the obi is, I almost thought it was too much texture in one place. But looking at how simple the rest of the design is, I think it works. You get another mini texture explosion in the hair accessory for balance, but everything else loosens up a lot to make room for the focal points. The fur trim on this design is also a big selling point for me, of course. 23. Lady Ribbon. Lady Ribbon's silhouette feels really fresh to me. It's a big, simple skirt and a tiny, simple bodice. That scale contrast is impactful, and for what this design lacks in detail, it makes up for with a clear visual hierarchy. The half-length sleeves with flared cups are a great way to mirror the visual rhythm of the skirt too. 22. Angelic Cosmos. There's something so interesting about a dress made mostly out of feathers, like we see with the Angelic Cosmos here. It's a very fantastical approach for the design, and I love how it's been executed with plenty of ribbon and pearls as well. There's a lot of details thanks to the varied textures, but the structure is still readable, and the focal point in the flower on the bodice is clear. 21. Royal Angel. The perspective makes it a little difficult to see Royal Angel, but I just know it could be one of my favorites if we had a clearer view. The fluffy trim covered in tiny stars is an adorable detail to start with, and I love the white, pink, and blue color scheme. Gold trim works great here too, and those long white gloves give the design a more wintry feel. 20. Cutie Shadow. Adorable pink knives aside, Cutie Shadow is another interesting design. The traditional inspiration is clear in the fingerless ninja gloves and obi-inspired ribbon at the waist, but these elements are still perfectly in line with Angely Sugar thanks to their bright colors and frilly fabrics. The sheer wrap at the back adds extra movement, and the overall design is very playful in tone. 19. Dream Melt. I adore Dream Melt's oversized A-line silhouette. We don't see many coords like this in Aikatsu, and that novelty has a lot of impact for me. The draping of the outer layer for the top emphasizes the A-line shape of the empire waist, making it a perfect baby doll style top. The intricate ruffles and ribbons on the sleeve add great visual interest too. 18. Pretty Blossom. Pretty Blossom has really nice structure in the bodice, matched with a nice balance of 2D prints, 3D appliques, and solid colors. The sheer material from the puff sleeves has also been used at the waist, and most elements are repeated at least twice throughout the pieces to make everything feel cohesive. 17. Sweetie Pastel Ribbon. Sweetie Pastel Ribbon's slight nautical inspiration is very appealing to me. It takes the more pastoral feel of the gingham and gives it a fresher touch with a cool blue and pink color scheme. The top is sailor inspired in its details, which the hat matches as well. I also appreciate that the ruffles on the bottom of the skirt are mirrored in the bracelet cuffs. 16. Pink Furta. I can usually go either way on the more segmented designs, but I think the multiple tiers are working great here. One reason is that they gradually increase in width as you go down the skirt. The other factor is that they're broken up by high contrast ribbons on both pieces. The chain and bead strands wrapped around their waist help lead the eye to these focal points, allowing the different tiers to stay in the background and not become too repetitive. 15. Jewel Heart Lion. Jewel Heart Lion has an adorable concept, even if it is looking a little more like a poodle than a lion. Even so, I love poodles, so I love this design. The quilted pattern in the top and skirt references luxury brands, and all the asymmetry is very visually interesting. With a slightly less yellow color palette, this design would be even higher on the list for me, but I still love what they ended up with. 14. Sugar Margaret. Sugar Margaret is so creative, and the sugar cookie theme is very effectively executed here. The sugar cookie collar, brooch, and garland around the skirt make the theme very clear. I love the 3D look of the icing-inspired bodice, and a large white skirt makes a great backdrop for all the cookie details. 13. Sugar Chamomile. Sugar Chamomile is almost identical to Sugar Margaret, but I prefer the green and yellow color palette because it feels a lot more pastoral. The secondary theme here is a tea party, noticeable in the gloves and tiny straw hat, and I think that storytelling is clear in this version of the coord because it references the countryside more explicitly. 12. Fancy Valentine. I've missed bold colors like these recently, so I'm very happy with the bright fuchsia and paler blue color contrast. The placement of the mini top hat balances the asymmetry in the skirt, and all the details in this fairly standard design are working for me. The visual rhythm of all the bow appliques are very effective at leading the eye through the design. 11. Fleur Ciel. Fleur Ciel is a pastel masterpiece. I adore the tiny poofy wings, and all the details look amazing. The hat with heart cloud on the rim is probably one of my favorite accessories, and the addition of a parasol is genius. 10. Angely Ciel. Angely Ciel is the same design in a brighter palette, and I happen to love this shade of mint and its pairing with this shade of pink. The gold jewelry is a lot bolder here, which I think suits the design just fine. I wouldn't blame you if you preferred the pastel version, but I love seeing all this vibrant color used in a way that still looks elegant. 9. Pure Blossom. Pure Blossom is a lot less vibrant and is actually almost identical to Pretty Blossom from earlier in the list. The difference on this version is the wider hat and a more consistent color scheme. The wider hat does an even better job at balancing the voluminous skirt. The blues and greens look great with subtle stripes of lace print, and the yellow skirt layer is pulling from the daisy appliques. It's gorgeous. 8. Gemini Sugar. Gemini Sugar is the upgraded version of Swing Gemini, and it's very possible the intricate shading and lighting in this illustration is winning me over. But with such beautiful combinations of pink, orange, and blue, how could I not give this design credit? The design itself is pretty obscured by the posing too, but I really love the details we can see and have faith that the full design has earned this top 10 spot. 7. Cosmos Princess. I almost ranked Cosmos Princess in the Chaos tier for its wild skirt ruffles, but has survived all the way to this point in the list. Yes, the skirt is huge and has very tight ruffles that create a lot of concentrated detail, but the fabric is pretty sparsely patterned to balance it out. The small corset shape also helps with the balance. But what I like best is, strangely, the single asymmetrical strap on the bodice. It looks like it matches the sheer material on the ribbon on the back of the dress, and for some reason it's my favorite part of the design. 6. Lovely Polar Bear. The last 6 are my top favorites. If you know my taste by now, you'll know exactly why I adore Lovely Polar Bear. All of this fluffy trim and the animal theme are a match made in heaven for me. I love the cute cut of the pieces and the cool color scheme, not to mention all the other adorable details. 5. Angelic Snow. Angelic Snow, spoilers, is my top favorite Angely Sugar Christmas design. The flowing sleeves and all the fluffiness and beautiful pink, blue, and white color scheme are all perfect for me. The intricate bows, ribbons, and corset lacing all balance out the graphic tree print on the skirt, and the bell and star accents are adorable too. 4. Girly Sakura Frill. Girly Sakura Frill is really similar to Angelic Snow, but it has a slightly more dramatic impact thanks to a huge bow on the obi. I love that the detail is clustered there very densely and slowly becomes more simple as you move away from that focal point. Colors are great, cut and silhouette are great, and of course there's something fluffy. 3. Sweetie Lilac. but aha, what's this? More? Sweetie Lilac has even more fluff and even more of a contrast between super long sleeves and a flared shorter skirt. The purple and blue palette works perfectly for the cold weather inspiration of this design. I love the interesting mix of textures, especially in the skirt. 2. Shell Brand. Shell Brand is noticeably different from the last two. Here the main appeal is the shiny gold trim and pink, white, and blue color scheme. The shell and wing references are two of my favorite visual motifs, and I love the angelic mermaid feel of this dress. This is definitely hitting some of my all-time favorite design tropes, and I have nothing to criticize about it. 1. Love Letter Pigeon. Love Letter Pigeon may shock you after everything we've just been through together, but it is my top favorite design on the list. There's something about this mail carrier theme that is so cute and nostalgic to me. It reminds me of older Animal Crossing games, and it has my favorite color palette, and all the wing motifs I love, so I'm happy to call it my favorite. Thank you so much if you made it to the end. Let me know your favorite Angely Sugar Photokatsu coords in the comments below, and look out for my Sangria Rosa ranking next week. Bye bye!
Tomato, tomato, red, red tomato. Oh.